All right. So as we jump in, we're going to do a quick review. So last month in January, we talked about this model called the SCARF model and how our brains are wired to detect threats, and looking at each situation as it talks about here and evaluating it to say, is this something that I feel safe about, or do I feel anxious about? Is this a threat to me? And that's the way our brains are wired. It's just constantly thinking this way. Is this something that I feel safe around, which is a towards response, or do I feel like this could be a little risky? This could be something that I might be nervous around, and that is the away response. And so whenever we feel either a positive or negative response, our brain then releases the hormones that then trigger the response that we have. So as we get started, if anybody was here last month or you actually watched the recording, just curious, what did you notice about your own threats in this idea of the SCARF model? How did that help you? So I would like to share. And you relate to the SCARF model? Anybody feels their status, certainty, which we're going to be talking about today, autonomy, relatedness, fairness, any of that you feel a threat, and what was that like for you?
This is Tammy Loman.
I was going to say, I can't be the only one who ever has these feelings. Come on.
Yeah, I had never seen the SCARF model before. And then a situation came up where there were I felt like kind of several things were status and autonomy, even some fairness. Being able to label those was really helpful, to be able to look at this and say, okay, this is what's going on. This is why I'm feeling this way. And that helped to bring some calmness into the situation and be able to approach it in a different way.
Good. That's great, Tammy. Thanks for sharing. Now I don't feel so like my status is under siege here. Who else? Anybody else have any example of the SCARF model and how it might have helped you? Okay, well, we will move on, but I hope you'll think about how you can use this, because we are constantly, in fact, we're going to talk about certainty today, constantly under this barrage of things. And again, your brain that's what you're doing all day long. And week in, week out is having these conversations with yourself. So we're going to talk about change, and change being like transitions and changes that happen to us. So just thinking about our brain and how we're wired, just some pointers here. So our brain craves certainty. We really like to be able to have habits and things that are on autopilot. We like that. We like predictability. As it says, that our brain is a prediction machine. And so when it comes across something new, it's trying to take past experiences to predict what the future is. And this thing with craving certainty, it's the idea, and if you think about it, probably most of your day is spent, I would say at least 30–40% of your day is probably spent doing a number of things that are just very routine for you. So when you wake up in the morning and you start your day, you probably have a fairly predictable routine. So maybe to get some engagement, who wouldn't mind sharing what's the first few things you do after you get up and get your day started? For me, one of the things I do is I go and get a nice big glass of water and get my coffee started. So that's what I do as I roll out. And before I grab my Bible and journal and other reading materials, I get a glass of water and then start the coffee, grab my devotional materials. What about you all?
Hi, Michael.
Hey, Rick.
I brush my teeth, I take my medicine, and then I start my coffee. Those are the three things I do first thing. So,
Excellent. Diana?
I open the curtains, and as I open the curtains, I say, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God," and so forth. And so I start by reminding myself about my relationship with God as I'm letting the light in, literally and figuratively.
Beautiful. Very nice. Anybody else?
I brush my teeth and talk to the Lord. For me, I'm often before my devotions, I'm often checking my phone to see that my daughters are okay and finding out what's happening with them. But other than that,
Okay. Well, good. So, so good stuff. Looks like somebody else is having trouble getting in, so let me send them. Appreciate your indulgence. I'll have to figure out what the problem went wrong there. So so we like that, and because as it says in point number 3, when things are uncertain, then our brains need to think. We need to start analyzing and thinking, okay, how do I deal with this? And so a lot of energy can be spent predicting what's next. And so if you think about starting in March of last year, when the COVID-19 really hit, and there was a lot of things that got thrown into a new rhythm, new habits, right? What you used to be able to do and predict and count on and assume, all of that changed, and it became, how am I going to do this now? How am I going to show up and interact and connect? How am I going to just go about getting food and necessities of life? All of these things just started to come. And so as we think about what that did to our brain and what that did to each of us, it had a huge impact on our energy, right? It had a huge impact on where our focus was on and our energy. And so it created in us, and it's one of the things that happens when if we choose a change, we are in a much better, happier kind of a mindset than if it's forced upon us. When we are forced into a change, which all of us were, then that's going to have a much greater impact on each of us. And so as you think about your life this past year, honestly, look at yourself and think, wow, I've been through a lot. We all have been through a lot. And to really recognize the amount of mental, emotional, spiritual, physical energy that has been expended in just managing the major changes. And it wasn't just COVID, right? There's been all kinds of changes, all kinds of uncertainty, all kinds of fallout in different places in different ways. And as it says here, significant uncertainty can even make you feel like there's a threat to your life. I know some times you can start asking a question, hey, who am I? What am I here for? It gets you back to some of those basic kind of questions again as you deal with some of these changes. So jumping over and thinking about what can we do in order to live with intention and influence to manage change. First, we got to notice when uncertainty creates a feeling of threat. If we don't take the time to notice then we're not going to really be able to manage that well. One of the things that comes up is we can get so busy just going and going, and we keep moving forward that we're not giving ourselves a chance to say, what am I feeling right now? What's going on with me? And to really sit with that. That's one of the things I love about using that pause app, which I've shared before in that John Eldridge put together, is it really does force you to stop and then think about, what am I feeling right now? And these feelings of threat or uncertainty. So, and as coaches, we all know this, right? Step number one in any kind of coaching is awareness. Where is the person? Are they aware of where they're at? You got to know where you're at, where you're starting from, in order to know where do you want to go. So it's always awareness. Second bullet point, or second thing here, is this: practice gathering information and creating choices. Like I said, when we're forced into a choice, then we are in this situation where we feel incapable, or like I don't want to say a victim, because that probably is a little too strong, but it's a sense that I'm being forced, and that really creates a lot of those away hormones, a lot of adrenaline and just the cortisol and the negative stuff. But what we can do is start to gather information and create choices. So probably one of the first things, well, I'll open it up and just ask you. So as you had to think about, okay, COVID-19, we're all under these lockdowns, right? And we're all quarantined, whatever. So one of the things you might have had to think is, okay, how am I going to go and get groceries? Where am I going to get food? When my cupboard starts getting a little bare, what am I going to do? So what did you, why don't we give a couple of folks just a chance to chime in? What did you do as far as gathering information and creating choices? What was that like for you? So let's hear from folks. What did you do to gather information and create choices?
I can answer that, Michael.
Thanks.
Well, I have an 80-year-old mother who lives with me, so we had to be super careful about the virus, and are still being very careful. So we gathered the information, or what are our options with getting groceries. We could have them delivered. We could order them on Amazon. We could order them ahead of time and then just go pick them up, or we could go to the grocery store. And so we chose to still go to the grocery store, but instead of all of us going for an outing together, we chose to determine who the person was in the family that would be the designated grocery shopper, so that only one person left the home to go gather the groceries. And we made a grocery list to cover groceries for 2 weeks at a time instead of one, so that we limited how much time we would actually be in the grocery store every week.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Boy, that sounds a lot like our plan. That's what we ended up doing. And we picked our college-age daughter. We said, you're the least likely to be really in bad shape if you catch it. So we're going to send you in and decontaminate you when you get home. But yeah, do the 2 weeks so you have as much, you don't have to go out as often. But yeah, good. Who else? What did you, and I should ask Julian, when you gathered that information, you created the choices, what did that do with regard to the threat response?
Oh, well, it eliminated it a lot, because we felt empowered to still continue to make choices based on what was best for our family without having to be scared. Even though, there's some amount of fear there, because it is a situation that can be fearful, but it limited the fear because we still felt empowered to still make choices. Yeah,
that's good. Good. And Diana, we'll let you share and then we'll move to the next point.
Yeah, thanks. I remembered that a while back I had subscribed for a while to Imperfect Foods, and they deliver imperfect produce and various other things that would otherwise have gone to waste. And so I just resubscribed to that, and I've been continuing with that. I get most of my groceries that way. I
Okay,
feel good about it.
absolutely. Good. Yeah, a lot of online stuff. My goodness. And somebody was saying that, it's shoved the world forward, probably technology-wise, a good 20 years, because it's really pushed a lot of things into play that were already coming and already available, but just really upped it. So some other ideas is to relabel the thought. So if you feel fear or anxiety, just as it says, call it what it is. That's just my need to control, and it's only a thought. So that's one way, and that depersonalizes it in a sense that it's not you necessarily. It's this thought, and whatever that is. The fourth bullet, refocus the thought using pre-planned recovery cues, like taking a deep breath or taking a break if you feel anxious. So sometimes, and this is actually a really great way to sort of retrain yourself over time, is that if you're starting to feel anxious or starting to feel fear or whatever, just saying, okay, that's my cue to take 3 deep breaths and just take a minute to breathe and recover from that, or whatever you're going to do. Some people find getting up and moving around, doing a quick walk, or taking a walk around the block or around your house or wherever you happen to be, is really helpful for that too. So those are great ways that offset those feelings as they're starting to come to you. Because if we're anxious, the other thing is, it's hard to gather information and create choices if you're overloaded. Your prefrontal cortex is overloaded with too much negative hormones. And then the last bullet is try reappraising the event or events and normalize the experience, or reposition your perspective. So thinking about perspective, looking at it from a different way. There was somebody I was talking to who is HIV positive, and we were talking about COVID-19, and his response was, very few people who are taking HIV medications get COVID because they're taking all these medications or whatever they are, supplements that just build their immune system. And I said to him, we were half joking, well, I guess every cloud has a silver lining, because there's a reappraisal, repositioning of perspective, that there's very little. I know people who were living with people who had COVID and were HIV positive, and caretakers just never caught it. And that's part of what happened. So it's a very specific kind of a perspective shift, but it is a way that we can try to normalize or reposition the perspective that we have. Something that I shared in a class that I teach called Coaching the Brain is this little template, and I'll be sending this out as well, this performance plan. But it's a way to, as it says, grow in awareness, look at your brain, figure out what you're feeling, and then strategies. And so I'll share this with you. I'm just giving you a picture of it. You don't have to do anything with it right now. Just to start thinking about how can I become more brain aware, notice what's going on with me, and then come up with some ways to implement some solutions or strategies around that. And again, this is one of the resources we use in the Coaching in the Brain class, which I've shared before. And then, so takeaways. We're at 25 after, and one of the things we want to do, again, you can get the performance template by visiting Brain Coaching, crosswayslifecoaching.com brain coaching. I'll certainly include the link when I send out the email follow-up from here as well, but you'll see that there. So become more aware about your emotions and what's going on with change. Sometimes it's subtle, right? Sometimes it can take a little while. So become more aware, implement some of the strategies we talked about. If you're interested in learning more about the brain, neuroscience, and how you can have greater personal awareness and then how you can actually bring that to your coaching clients and create a coaching process through that. You want to follow that up. And then our next Life IQ meeting is going to be, again, last Tuesday in March. I will work on getting that link fixed so that it's not a problem for folks trying to join if you sign up through Eventbrite. And we're going to call it Winning Habits. So we're going to talk about it. These are going to be, so just so you know, we talk about habits and things like that. This is going to be a little bit of a different spin on some of the habits. So I'll leave it as a surprise like that. So takeaways, got a minute or two here. What are you taking away? Any questions you might have? I'd love to hear how you want to implement some of the strategies. I can go back to the strategies page if you'd like. So anyone, what do you want to do there? Diana?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me today has been the way that you model, Mike, being available and consistent in your teaching and your reaching out. And I'm thinking, oh, I could do a community call, in the areas that I'm interested in. So I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very affirming. Appreciate that. Who else?
Oh, I just so appreciate it all. It gives me a lot of perspective on what's been happening for me personally.
Good.
So I'm sure it'll be very useful in all kinds of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been, I tell you what, if you really look back and you think about it, it's been some major shifts we have all been through. And I thought this is such a really needed topic. So
Now, did you create a lot of this yourself, Michael, or you mix some things together, or are you following a particular model?
Well, it's a mixture of different things. So this is some of the things we talk about in the coaching and the brain class. We deal with change. And so the SCARF model and all that is by a guy named David Rock. And I mentioned him back over here, SCARF model, Rock 2008. So that's where the picture came from. But yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It is. It's really helpful. All right, time for one more and then we'll wrap up. Be taken away. What'd you learn?
Yeah, hey Michael, this is Rick, and I just really appreciated just the ideas of how to manage it. Just being able to line them out like you did, it was really good. A lot of these I do hit and miss. I think your brain tries to figure out how to survive, and so a lot of the stuff I like, but I just like having a format. I fall into a 6 on the Enneagram. And so a lot of fear, a lot of just have to just take baby steps at a time and try to do that, which you've helped me with that in the past through our other mastermind group. But I really appreciate the layout for this. So that really stood out to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, gang. Well, I appreciate each of you, and thanks. Wouldn't be a community without you all showing up. And my apologies for some of the extra steps some of you had to jump through, but I'm glad you all made it. And we look forward to connecting again next month. Certainly reach out if you got any questions, and certainly enjoy creating all this stuff and sharing it with you. I find it life-changing and really is helpful, and I'm hoping you all get that too. All right. Lord bless.
Bye-bye.